Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tailgating with WOTC. Today, we're serving up some food for thought on America, Wizards of the Coast, and some other stuff. So, since it's 4th of July on the day that we're recording this episode, we want to start off by listing off our favorite, the most patriotic colors in Magic, and that is our favorite red, white, and blue spells in the game. Doesn't matter what format, our favorites, whether they're crappy or not. What is your favorite red spell? Or your top 3 favorite red spells, Mark?
Right. I'll start out from the bottom. I'll start from 3 to 2 to 1.
From the bottom, then we'll be there.
Like Drake says,
Start from the bottom.
Yeah. So my number 3 is Lightning Bolt.
Okay.
I know it's a bit weird. Why would I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't know
it's
who would
just
pick that.
It's quite simple. I put in a lot of decks. I like playing spell slinging decks. I like playing Rakdos decks. It's pretty good in those decks. I like Lightning Bolt, so that's why it's number 3.
It's an okay card.
Number 2, I have Hell Rider.
Ooh.
Because Hell Rider, not only is the card art sweet, it's just a devil on like a hellhound riding it. I like the kind of wide board, non-combat damage triggers. I like that whole thing. It's hasty, I like that style of play. So that's why it's my number 2. And my number 1 is Young Pyromancer. It was my number 1 on my top 10 list. It has to be my number 1 red spell. It just makes sense.
Young Pyromancer. It's a great card.
Yes. It's a very fun card.
I'll be honest, Young Pyromancer might have made it on my list. A couple of these other ones I got here for red. Those are some pretty sweet cards.
Yeah.
My top 3 red cards. Number 3 is Lightning Bolt.
Really?
Yeah, I thought about all the red cards in the history of Magic, and I was going through them, and I saw Lightning Bolt, and I'm like, this is an okay card.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put it up there. I sometimes use it in decks. Whether I'm playing my Grixis deck, my mono red decks, my Jeskai decks. I don't think I've built a deck without red in it in a long time.
Yeah, and if it's red, it's probably a Lightning Bolt.
Number 2 is Faithless Looting.
Fair, yeah.
Card we lost in Modern.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad
Rest
about that.
in peace.
R.I.P. in peace.
Faithless Looting, it was so nice because you have red coming up against all these blue decks and all their cantrips, and they have such an amazing way to fill their hand with new cards and find the exact card that they need for a particular situation. And though we have cards like Thrill of Possibility, they don't really compare to Faithless Looting. And thank you to Hogak and Dredge for ruining this card for the rest of us.
Thank you.
And Arclight Phoenix too, by the way. Thank you. Then my number 1 favorite red spell is Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Really?
Because it just turns the opponent's spells against them. It's like, to me, it's one of the cards that's just the epitome of red.
True.
It's like you can try to, outlast the damage that I'm dealing to you.
But it's going to be real difficult.
It's going to be really difficult because whatever you try to cast to prevent me from casting stuff or trying to get ahead of me, you're going to take extra damage.
Yeah.
If you're trying to, you're going to counter one of my bolts, well, guess what? You're still getting shocked.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that one's number 1, because Burn was like the first sort of competitive deck that I ever had that I was able to take to an FNM, and Eidolon of the Great Revel was just one of the key pieces to that. That card comes down, and all of a sudden, the opponent's at 2 life.
They're like, all right, here we go. I can't cast my spells.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's good flavor, too. It's an enchantment creature. It's a spirit. Card's got little devils around like a bonfire. Which, in hindsight, why isn't it a devil spirit at the end of the day? there clearly is a lot of little devils in the card art.
With the new devil that we have coming from
Jumpstart. Yeah. Zerzoth, I believe.
Would have been nice if we could have thrown Eidolon in there.
It just, why not? I've tried brewing around him a little bit, and it's like, I want to make more devils in the deck. Not many great devils. You get to the bottom of the barrel of devils.
Yeah, I went to look, because I was trying to think of maybe a couple budget commander decks we could do for the channel. Looked at him, and I'm like, all right.
He's fun. Wheeling
let's make
is fun.
him. Let's do it. Let's try it. We could put Tybalt in there and have a couple.
Yeah, I had Tybalt in there. I had the Hell Rider in there.
You quickly run out of cards.
Yeah.
You put in maybe your 6th or 7th devil.
Yeah.
And you're looking at some of the other ones, and you're like, are these worth playing? Even in a commander game, are these worth playing?
Yeah. And even still, it's like I could put all the wheel cards in if I'm doing a budget deck. There's not that many wheel cards you can put in, and even still, there's a lot of wheel decks already. So it's like, all right, how am I any different now? You know, so it's like, it's hard. And how fun can you make it? But yeah, Eidolon the Great Rebel, fun, good, flavorful card. I agree with you there.
Definitely. All right, so white.
My top 3 white spells. Now my number 3 here is probably the one that's a little most different, I would say, from all my other spells. That is Grand Abolisher.
Well, I don't even know what that one does.
I will show you the card art here, and then it'll be on the screen for the rest of you. I don't know if you recognize the card.
That is a big buff man.
He has one of my favorite card arts in Magic, you know, my top 20, 25, whatever you want to call the list. But the card art is fantastic. He's just a Law and Order holding a mace. Just, you're not getting through me, much like Gandalf to the Balrog.
You shall not pass.
Or, on my turn, cast spells, activate abilities of artifacts, enchantments, or creatures. You know, as Gandalf said. But, you know, it's just the card art's great. You know, as far as white cards, there's not that many just fun cards, but like, he's a cool armored guy, and he's just got a great weapon, double flail mace, you know. He's cool looking. That's my main reason for him.
I feel like sometimes, even though a card might not be super powerful,
card art makes
in
it.
Modern or whatever format you're playing, the card art makes it for you.
And he's not too bad, but no, and you can't get that many great spells as far as white goes these days. But going on my number 2, I have Lingering Souls. You know, for those of you who listen to the channel for a little bit here, following and keeping up, you know how much I love my Mardu Pyromancer and my Grixis Pyromancer. Lingering Souls certainly fits into the Mardu Pyromancer build. It's a fantastic card, and it's just a good card. You know, 3 mana, get you 2 spells, flashback from the graveyard. Pretty decent card.
I also like how it's sort of a cheat for you. Because
yes, it's got the black and the mana
It's got
cost.
the black and the mana cost, and black is definitely your favorite color in Magic. So it's sort of like a,
it's a white card.
I don't favor white too much, but here we go.
Yeah.
This is a card that's got black for me.
And then, my number 1 is, you know, referencing from the previous top 10 list we've done, is Lone Rider. You know, Lone Rider is in the theme of America, kind of looks similar to a Paul Revere.
There you go.
You know, and the fact is, it's fun, turns into a cool looking Eldrazi creature, lifelink. Pretty fun card, in my opinion. So, what are your favorite white spells? Top 3.
So, number 3 is Rest in Peace. So, I hate when people abuse their graveyard.
Dredge players, this is for you.
Dredge players, this is for you. And I play Dredge, I'll be honest. But I love Faithless Looting so much, and I hate that it's not legal in Modern anymore because of people that abuse their graveyard.
So now no one else gets to have their fun.
No one gets to have their fun.
Sorry, guys.
Rest in Peace is on the board.
Yeah, I feel you.
That's basically the reason. Number 2 is Path to Exile.
Good card. Card.
One of the best removal spells in all of Magic, I'd say.
And white actually gets it.
And white gets it, yeah, which is true.
Fantastic.
Not really much to say about this choice, just that
Exiles creature.
It exiles any creature I want it to. Sure, they get a land, but you know what? Worth it when I'm exiling a Primeval Titan.
Yeah.
And my number 1, because I'm a man and I have to choose this one, it's Serra Angel.
Fair enough.
Now, when I was first introduced to Magic back when I was a young kid, I was first playing with Portal and some of those other ones. But Serra Angel was one of the first cards I saw that made me say, you know what? This game's not too bad.
Fair enough.
Something I enjoy about this game.
I don't know what it is.
I might keep playing. We'll see.
Fair enough. Classic card. So, shall I move on to my top 3 blue spells here?
Top 3 blue.
My number 3 is Opt. Again, not the most creative choice, maybe, but it's just good. You know, 1 mana cantrip, scry 1. Goes in a lot of decks I like, as I mentioned, the spell slinging aspect, such as Lightning Bolt. I like drawing cards. Who doesn't like drawing cards? Fits into that archetype, in my opinion. My number 2 is a bit of a newer card in the last, year here, which is Archmage's Charm. You know, what's more blue than a 3 blue mana spell? You know, you can't pay anything but blue.
That's true.
You know, it just does fun stuff. Counters, draws 2.
Never a deck card.
Yeah, and gaining control of a permanent 1 or less is not a dead ever, you know? You happen to play against that guy playing the Merit Lage, that's my token now.
True.
You know, Death Shadow, my Death Shadow, now it dies. Sorry. It was a removal spell all along. No one knew.
True.
You know, it's interesting.
It's a very versatile card.
It's a versatile card. It's a fun card.
And I'd say
it's fair.
It is a fair card. It's a fair blue card, and I would say also something because I also like that card a lot, and it's a lot to do with just the memories of Modern Horizon.
Not to mention, I'm a huge Skyrim fan. For all you gamers out there, Elder Scrolls fans, everyone knows about the College of Winterhold from Skyrim. They have an Archmage. Reminds me of that. Reminds me of those good times. So a little bit of flavor there as well. So those are my top 2 out of the 3. My number 1, which you probably know about, is Master of Waves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Master of Waves fan. I think that Devotion can be a little bit boring sometimes when it comes to some other cards. However, Master of Waves, super fun. The tokens are crabs, elementals. They look funny as heck. He's a huge board, make a big board. I think he's a very fun card. And I like Merfolk a lot, and he's a Merfolk. So fits in well. So those are my top 3 blues cards. How about you, Joe?
So my number 3 is Brainstorm. You mentioned 1 mana cantrip. Who doesn't like drawing cards? I think Brainstorm does it best.
Probably, yeah.
Not legal in Modern, unfortunately,
No.
but I still have a lot of fun with it in Commander and some like no ban list Modern plays that we will do sometimes.
And that Masters 25 card art's real nice too for it.
Very true. Number 2 is Remand.
Okay.
It's a
good card.
Counter spell, puts it into the opponent's hand, draw a card. To me, it's a card that kind of just shows off what blue is, and that's tempoing out the opponent, stopping them from playing. You get more card advantage than them. Simple as that.
It is a very typical blue spell, that is true.
And my number 1 card is Rhystic Study.
Really? Okay. I would not have seen that coming, to be honest.
Now, I just love drawing cards. I play Izzet primarily, and that's because I like to damage the opponent.
And draw cards.
And Rhystic Study is just an easy way to draw cards. And it's very annoying for the opponents
a lot
that
of
you're playing
commander players
against.
might be angry at you for this choice.
Rhystic Study is just a great card. All right. Yeah, you know what? You can pay some mana. Maybe I won't get to. Are you going to always want to?
Are you going to pay for that? Are you going to pay for that?
Are you going to pay for that? Well, I'm going to be repeating that the whole time I'm playing.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of talking during that game if Rhystic Studies is on the board.
So that's my number 1 pick for blue.
Hey, fair enough. It is a very good blue card. That is for sure.
All right, so now that we have our patriotic 4th of July bit of this deck out of the or bit of this episode out of the way, we have a bit of a serious talking point here for this episode, and that is Wizards of the Coast kicking Elizabeth Eden out of the creator program. What do you think about this situation?
I think it's unfortunately just another bad decision in the line of bad decisions lately that WOTC has been making. I think that as much as they like promoting diversity, and being, an accepting community, they can really just be really out of the blue, just dumb with some of their decisions like this sometimes. It's like, there was no good reason for her to be kicked out of the program, because she promotes her body image and everything else like that. That shouldn't be any reason for her not to be in the program. WOTC certainly has never had a problem with card arts being very sexualized in the past.
Sarah Angel, as I talked about earlier.
What's the one with the older one with the vines around the fairy that you know about?
Oh, Earthbind.
Earthbind.
That's over sexualized.
Quite sexualized. There's a lot of sexualized cards.
Look at Liliana the Veil.
Yeah. Then I know there's one tweet that was put out from I'm a Handy tweeted out one card that was from one of the Unhid sets or Unstable that was something about a
wet t-shirt
contest.
Yes.
Come on. That's not even hiding that one.
Right.
So I'm just thinking, what was the point? Because she has an OnlyFans. So what?
Right.
Really?
Because I feel like you should be able to. Wizards of the Coast should understand that OnlyFans, that's a thing that only her, adult followers can get access to. It's not like she's on Twitch, showing those sorts of things off. She wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's like you should be able to separate the Magic the Gathering content creation from the other side of her career.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't see an issue with her in that other side of the career kind of blending in the fact that she is followed by a lot of Magic the Gathering, people that like the game, so she kind of blends it in a little bit together with her, other side of her career. I don't see a problem with it.
No,
I don't see, she posted that one She posted like a proxy, like alternate art kind of card,
Right.
where she was, the woman of magic or something like that. It said,
Mhm.
and everyone's saying that was like what final straw was, but it's kind of like,
I think people were so upset she was poking fun at a bunch of white knights and they were kind of insulted by it, I think was the end of the day. So people were just a little bit upset at it for that reason more than anything else, which is a bit sad in my opinion. But I agree with you in that sense. I mean, a lot of people have different interests, People are going to be interested in, sexualized content. People are going to be interested in magic. I personally am interested in many different things. I'm interested in magic. I'm interested in video games. I'm interested in sports. I'm not a one interest person. Not many people are.
Pony.
Exactly. So it's like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. It seems like a dumb thing for them to do, like for their own public image, because now it's like with all the stuff that we've had going on in the last decade about pushing towards equality for women and bringing them away from just being, sexualized objects and stuff like that.
And body positivity.
It's sex work and stuff like that has become, the stigma around it has been drastically reduced so much. And Wizards of the Coast, they always try to present themselves as a company that supports diversity, like you had said earlier, and, people from all walks of life, people from all races and cultures. It just seems foolish.
Step backwards.
It is a step backwards.
It's so weird. And the timing of it isn't. The timing of it is more what's the thing about me is it was such an incredibly weird choice now. Like, why now?
Especially when you consider just how hypocritical it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you look at all these cards that have come out over the years that are definitely have images of women that are overly sexualized. Yeah, for sure.
And I know there's plenty of people that make proxies that are more sexualized of cards, because anime variants or anything like that. It's like there's nothing wrong with it inherently at all. So I think the point we want to say, WOTC, quit being dumb with this kind of stuff, please. Yeah, there's no point.
We absolutely love you, and this is us trying to just let you know that, hey, this ain't cool.
We're being dumb.
Learn from this, grow from this, be better in the future, and the Magic community is going to be better as a whole if you do that.
Yeah, so take that to heart, please. Now, moving on to our third topic here, which is going to be modern metagame shifts from core 2021 cards, Joe. Now, I don't know if any of you guys and listening have looked at the modern metagame lately. I know that MTG Goldfish is a popular place to find metagame content. But there's a few decks that have seen a couple of shifts or even a few deck archetypes that have been pushed to the top in the modern meta from new cards. Number one being Conspicuous Snoop.
Conspicuous Snoop with the Kiki Jiki combo has almost instantly made goblins as a archetype in modern very viable.
Almost tier 1.
And very close to tier 1. People are saying maybe it's too broken. I don't think so. I think that it's just another really great combo deck that you can utilize. And also, I like that it takes an archetype or of a tribe that really saw, some fringe play here and there with things like Rakdos Unearth Goblins, things like that. And kind of pushed it to the forefront of modern. And if there's one thing I like about new cards coming into the pool is changing up the modern meta. Absolutely. Because we've been looking at a meta in modern that has been stagnant for so long that it's it's really nice to see up there in the top 3 decks being played.
Top 4, yeah.
A deck that just wouldn't have been there a few weeks ago.
Yeah, especially since the modern meta now is incredibly boring with troll snow decks pretty much being the number ones.
Right.
It's like it gets so stale, so, and especially me seeing a Rakdos deck, I cannot complain. Plenty of combo potential with a new card or the older new combo with Boggart, Harbinger, and Conspicuous Snoop, and then Kiki Jiki with Sling Gang Lieutenant. You could even make a Jund version of the deck with Grown Gully and Persist Goblins like the Red Cap or anything else. Like there's so much potential there beyond just combat damage that it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great to see a tribe deck be pushed so far up into the meta.
Absolutely.
And, it's kind of funny. I wonder who out there already had a playset of Auntie's Hovel laying around.
You've done well.
You've done well.
Congratulations.
I would sell them right now if I were you.
Yeah, because
or build this deck.
Yeah, might as well.
We're looking at $180 for a playset of Auntie's Hovel now.
Ooh.
I mean, that's just an insane spike in price.
That is quite a lot for a goblin land.
So what are some of the other decks that we've seen crop up in the meta a bit?
Well, no new decks per se, and nothing that isn't inherently changed the deck itself, but an interesting inclusion is now that Infect apparently isn't playing a 2 of Miscast in their sideboard. And now Infect is in the top 12 again, apparently, according to MTG Goldfish.
And Infect, it was in the top 12 when Scale Up came out initially and Giver of Runes. Briefly in like a sort of like banned color version, but pretty much
Selesnya as well.
Right away, it sort of dropped off.
Yeah, it stayed for very, very little amount of time.
So yeah, Miscast coming into Infect is pretty interesting.
And it makes sense, Infect is an archetype. They cannot waste any mana whatsoever. They don't have time. They need to get their spells out and swing and win by turn 3 pretty much every time. Usually it feels like, they got to have their mana up to pay for, the Inkmoth Nexus or whatever, which one it is. They got to be out ready to use Blossoming Defense and everything else like that. They are stringent on mana, so a card like Miscast is a good fit for them. So, and then the last deck that we looked at now is Mono Red Blitz. It's been in the top meta here for a decent amount of time. It's been performing well as just a incredibly aggro deck. But apparently now they're playing a 3 of the new card from M21, which is Chandra's Incinerator in the sideboard. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think it's kind of an obvious inclusion in the deck. I mean, you're going to be able to cast that for very little mana in a deck like Mono Red Blitz. The amount of spells you're going to be slinging at the opponent's face. It's going to be a very cheap creature play.
It's going to be 1 per mana pretty much.
And throwing it in the sideboard, I think, is nice because it allows you to maybe get in there game 1, get the win with usual Mono Red Blitz, bring it in post sideboard and surprise the opponent with a big creature
and removal possibly. You play the Lightning Bolt and say they have the Mantis Rider on the board. Boom, 3 damage to you, 3 damage to them, and then you have a 6/6 trampler. I mean, how do you fight that? That's hard to fight.
That's hard to fight. It's probably one of the best cards printed in M21.
It's going
to see modern play. Yeah,
for
sure.
Might be coming to a top 5 new creatures list near you. Who knows?
It might just be doing that.
So the last thing that I think we should talk about here, Joe, is possible changes to the white color pie in the new future here. Just overall, I think that one of the cards we saw that M21 that was interesting was Mangara, the new card. A little bit more card draw in white, but however, it's still kind of similar Pillow Fort style card attached to it.
Right, which you would expect from white.
But the card draw not as much.
Right, exactly, because you're going to expect white to have certain stipulations, whether it's maybe gaining life or maybe
putting counters on creatures,
that sort of thing. But what we don't see from white is what a lot of other colors in Magic's pie, we don't see some of the support that they get in white.
Absolutely. I think that the comments that Morrow made on a recent, I believe it was live stream or it was a Q&A, that beforehand he had said that white does not need to get card draw in the past, and now he's changing his mind a little bit as far as card design, saying that we need to catch up here in the modern format of Magic. Not modern in the sense of the format, but just modern Magic itself.
Right.
2020, and that white needs card draw. Every format needs some way to get card draw. Black has gotten card draw. Green gets card draw. Blue and red definitely get card draw.
Blue and red. I mean, well, because you look at it, it's like blue is obviously famous for its cantrips. Red's got its discard.
Form,
draw cards. Black has its pay life, draw cards. Things like, Village Rites where you sacrifice a creature, draw cards.
Skeletal Scrying, Sign of Blood, all those sorts. And then obviously green gets it if you have a creature with this sort of power or whatever, usually that's how you get a card draw.
Right, and then of course Simic obviously is boosted that, green's ability to draw cards hugely.
Hydroid Krasis, anyone?
Uro. I mean, we've talked about them enough.
But yeah.
But when you look at white, it's like, what is one of the things that they're definitely missing out on that all the other colors have access to? And that's cards. That's cantrips.
Card advantage, essentially.
That's the ability to dig for threats somehow. Try to thin out your deck a little bit and get through. Try to find those cards that you need in order to deal with whatever threat is on the board.
Absolutely. And it's just, I think that Morrow's statement is right. It's like we got to start looking at it as that some things are inherently just important to Magic, which is card draw is one of them. And then obviously mana, some of those things. It's like you can't just ignore it because of past stipulations. I know White in the very, very far past with the circles of protections and whatnot was quite aggravating to play against. It was really good.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was just, you can't do anything essentially. But now it's fallen off. It's obviously no one's favorite color to play besides maybe Pleasant Kenobi's. It's definitely the weakest of the colors by far. It needs to get a lot of changes. And one of the things that I think that White might even need to get is some more counter spells, maybe even. Might be something that they could use. Because everyone knows the card Mana Tithe. It can come out of nowhere. Why not give it a few White themed, counter ways to do it? Why not?
You could look at, different stipulations that the counter spell might have to follow, such as
during combat phase.
One
of the popular ways that White gets removal is tapped creatures, kill tapped creature, kill if it's blocking, kill if it's attacking. Why not do that? Something, counter spell only if it's cast, during this thing. You know what I mean? I think that it just needs something.
And of course, you could do anything. If you lost a creature this turn, you can counter a spell. So any kind of White-esque stipulation
Revolt,
they could tack onto
kinda.
it. Right, exactly.
If you play with a fetch land, you're playing blue control. If you sacrifice a permanent this turn, counter target spell. That could be pretty good.
Yeah, there's just a good amount of things that White is lacking right now. That for the sake of balance in the future and for diversity in the future as far as deck building goes, I think it's something that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely, and just make it more fun. It's just it's losing so much. Nobody just wants to play Death and Taxes besides a couple people. It's just like it gets old.
Death and Taxes being the only, like that sort of a prison kind of style. Is the only thing that White has aside from. You could make an argument for maybe blinking, but you need some other colors. And beyond that, you look at it and it's like White has life gain, which is fine, but
it doesn't do anything inherently to win you the game normally.
Right. Because the only deck that I know of really that takes super great advantage of that is Martyr Proc.
True.
Beyond that, it's just swinging in with small creatures and adding counters to them, which unfortunately in most of the formats that we have isn't really enough to push through the damage.
Every kind of color can get big creatures essentially in any way. Green easily, blue can do it sometimes. There's cards like the Digin from Dominaria, Tempest Djinn, that can get big. Red, Chandra's Incinerator just came out.
Right.
There's big creatures in every color pie. White, their identity shouldn't be we have big creatures because every other color already has it.
Right.
And it's like you look at other colors and they have different things you can do. Mono blue it can be control, it can be tempo, it can be devotion, it can be this and that. There's mono white doesn't have much other than big dumb creatures that maybe have lifelink and they have a little bit of pillow fort or taxing effects.
Right.
Not much going on there.
That's true.
So
in order for it to be useful, you almost have to pair it with Azorius for control. You have to pair it with Orzhov for aristocrats.
If you want to do Selesnya, it'd be a wider board, but it's like it's like it shouldn't just be necessarily need to be paired with another color for it to do things. It's not the way it should be.
Right.
Which is why we don't see pretty much any white decks pop up in the modern format. So I think that just something that hopefully that can be addressed here, and with the comments that Morrow made recently in the last few months here, hopefully that is something they're taking a look at in the new sets coming up.
Definitely agree.
We can hope for.
Definitely. All right, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Tailgating. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and
make sure to pay for your parking and have a nice night.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It helps us out a ton. And if you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing. Make sure you follow us on all our social media @Coast Lizards, and have a fantastic day.